Welcome to our community. Susie Thomas with you this morning. Very happy to welcome from Mentor Stark, Lori Casey Mullane and James Warnken. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Okay, guys. Well, let's, full disclosure, we are just trying this in the new way in the age of COVID. So we are kind of dipping into new waters. But Mentor Stark started how?
Well, Mentor Stark is actually a vision I've had for a very long time. I'm very involved in the field of mentoring and kind of advancing the mentoring movement in Stark County. There's a huge emphasis behind mentoring at the national level, and I attend the National Mentoring Summit every year in Washington, D.C., with partners from all over the country, and have seen how mentoring is starting to be recognized for the workforce development tool it is, the social capital building tool that it is. And through the work I had done in Stark County, there's amazing people doing amazing mentoring programs here in Stark County, but it's not always that easy to find them. And so kind of thought the first step in advancing that mentoring movement was just making it easier for people to find mentoring programs, whether they want to become a mentor themselves, find a mentor for their child, or you try to kind of initiate a mentoring opportunity. And so that's where mentorstark.org came into existence.
When did mentoring become a thing? This is a word that maybe in the last, as you say, so many years that it's really become a movement. And I hear people say, oh, this person's been a mentor to me. In my day, you had maybe a favorite teacher, and you would say, oh, they were my favorite teacher. They really did a lot in my life. Or you had parents, or grandparents. Now we talk about mentors more. How and when did this start to happen?
Well, I'm not sure that I know the complete history of it. Partnership, which is based out of Massachusetts, grew out of kind of a Big Brothers Big Sisters program, I believe, initially. And it's been interesting for me. I've been involved with the movement for really the past 10 years and have attended the Mentoring Summit for the last 4 or 5 years. And what I'm seeing is a broader understanding of that word mentoring. It used to be thought of like a one-on-one Big Brothers Big Sisters type of relationship. And now we're understanding more about the idea of webs of support that young people need to kind of reach their goals, which is people all around them who make up different parts of their village and serve different roles in their lives that help support them. So I mentor a lot of kids, and for some I'm heavily involved. I'm the one they call when they're going through a trauma or different things like that. And for other kids, I may be the one that does their job recommendations or just, hooks them up with some kind of opportunity or resource going on, or hooks them up with somebody else that can kind of be another part of their web of support who maybe has some lived experiences. And so that's how mentoring is evolving. And even attending this national summit every year, I'm seeing more and more people coming and more variations of mentoring programs being.
James, what's your involvement with it?
So Lori spoke at an event at Walsh, and I actually just finished my degree there.
Congratulations.
Thank you. From that event, she was talking about elevator pitches and the importance of networking and building relationships. And after her presentation, I introduced myself to her, gave her a little bit of background. We met for coffee, kind of bounced some ideas off of each other, what I was looking to do, how I was looking to get involved. And she mentioned her idea, and with my background in web design, SEO, all of that digital marketing stuff, and her ideas, we kind of decided to join together, and I kind of helped initially set up the website for her to begin to fill out and put all of the information and knowledge that she had into it. And then moving forward, I'm going to be helping out, laying out some basic strategies and how to get more people aware of what's out there now and what is Mentor Stark actually doing.
Tell me about your meetings, because this has been a very unusual time to launch something new. Were you Zooming back and forth? How are you doing this?
It was mostly just through text, phone calls, Zoom meetings. Lori and I stay very connected. If she needs something, she just shoots me a text and I take care of it. or if we want to just generate ideas and have a discussion, typically just a phone call or a Zoom meeting. Prior to that, we were meeting at Starbucks and having coffee and just talking for an hour or so. So it doesn't really
Doesn't
take
that
a whole lot
seem
of
like
time.
100 years ago when we could do that? It just seems like
Almost.
another world. I know. Well, very cool that you didn't drop it or put it on the back burner, that you continued forth with it. And this is totally off topic, James, but I just am dying to know, and I think it's still interesting. Congratulations on your graduation. I feel heartbroken that you haven't gotten to do a commencement. How did Walsh handle that?
So what they did is they did a lot of social media and online stuff, like preparing video presentations featuring all the graduating seniors.
Nice.
And then they're also doing a 5-year kind of reunion for all of the seniors because of everything that's going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
And they're actually allowing seniors from the spring class to walk in December or next spring if they desire to.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like they've done as much as anybody could ask them for
Really?
in terms of
Yes.
accommodating the situation at hand. And I still feel very connected. I had professors reaching out, just checking in. I had weekly Zoom meetings for classes, and everybody stayed very connected and communicated very well during that time.
It almost seems that because we had to get so creative with how we went forward with things, that there might be even an added layer of caring and an added layer of cool memories now. You have a memory of graduation that nobody else has or will. It's
Right.
sort of very unique to you, and I think you all are a class whose mettle has been tested, and it will come in handy someday, I'm sure. But it's really been different, that's for sure. So how nice for many people who just step out of the stage and with their new diploma, they don't know quite what is happening next, and you definitely do. So both of you, let me know what is in store for Mentor Stark.
Well, one of the things, as you said, this is such an interesting and challenging time for both our high school and our college graduates. So we're very interested in helping build social capital for all young people, but specifically for the students that are kind of navigating this new world. So we're also we started a complimentary LinkedIn group that runs in addition to Mentor Stark.
Nice.
So I'm going to be bringing in 2020 high school graduates in there. LinkedIn is a big supporter of mentoring at the national level, and they've got a lot of good materials there trying to help young people build LinkedIn profiles and learn to use social media in a way to help build their professional connections and their industry knowledge. And as you know, many young people who kind of grew up on social media, they look at using it a different way. They don't really understand how to use it in a way for career exploration and building connections and all that. And so that's what we're going to be using this private mentorstark.org group for. And there's some, incredible things going on in the community to reach out to 2020 seniors through Facebook, support them, do some adopting of them. And so I've been in touch with that group, and we're going to be using that group to try to pull these seniors in and then, give them post challenges over the summer, teach them how to, read an article about an industry they're interested in and then post some information about it. And I've brought other professionals in through all my LinkedIn connections that I'm then encouraging them to, comment on things and reach out to the students and, share their own industry knowledge. So there's really creative ways that we can do things virtually that will have long-lasting impacts, I think, on teaching young people, how to build their social capital and how to actually start creating new support as they move forward in their careers.
What would you recommend? Because it seems that social media could be something that could make or break somebody at this point as they're starting to think career-wise that they weren't thinking when they were in the 7th grade and posting whatever, or even later in high school. Sometimes some people might regret some things that they put up there. What would you suggest that a young person does to their other platforms before they even start thinking of building up that LinkedIn platform?
Well, yeah, and this kind of goes into the presentation I made at Walsh when James and I first met about building your personal brand. You have to start thinking about how you want the outside world to look at you in terms of what you want to be in the future. And then you have to start creating that brand around yourself on social media. So it's very important to kind of go through and start removing things that might not support that brand that you want people to think of you as. If you want people to think of you as an engineer and a professional, then you kind of need to go and make sure you don't have pictures on your Facebook of, partying or things like that, or inappropriate pictures. It's just, it's so very, very important. And we really did not, honestly, as a society, do a good job of teaching young people about that. It was kind of like the wild, wild west where, kids were the ones that learned about social media really before the adults were, and they were the ones that kind of decided the content that was going to be on there, and it didn't always, serve them in terms of their best interests. And so I very much encourage kids to start looking at it from the perspective of who it is they want to be in the future, and making sure that everything they post supports those values and that brand and how they want people to see them.
Just the fact that we're talking about everybody needs to have a brand, that really describes the age of digital marketing that we have entered. Back in the day, it was you had a reputation, a good one or not. But now everybody's got their brand, and that they want to build their brand. And it's just a new, interesting way of thinking about our world. It's really become unique. And James, since you've grown up in it, your take on that?
Yeah, so a lot of social media to me, with my background being in digital marketing, I look at it more from that standpoint. And me personally, I don't really use social media. So I have a Facebook account that has my friends and family on it, and a Snapchat account, and that's about it. I'm not really into the TikTok or the Instagram or any of those, really.
I love that you're saying this. Go ahead and finish, then I need to interject something. Go ahead.
But for me, it is all about, like, basically what you can show about your day-to-day life and how you can capture that and what makes it unique is my take on personal social media. But when it comes to businesses, a lot of the struggle I see there is the lack of the ability to connect and make that personal connection on social media, because we're in the age now where people like the cause behind a brand more than they like the brand itself. And for a lot of these businesses, whether they're small or large, the issue is how can we connect with them and showcase what we're trying to accomplish in a personal way rather than a business way.
Then real slick.
And I think that's where a lot of it kind of falls apart in the age of social media right now.
Tell the story. Just tell the story. And not quite so slick. I think people see through slick real fast. I just think it's fascinating. You're not the first person who this is their really profession that kind of unplugs and stays away from it on the more personal level. I have a son who does the digital marketing for an international publishing company. He does not even have a Facebook page. Totally spends all day doing that and then unplugs on his own. It's just interesting. So you're telling me that it is possible to unplug. We don't have to live on those phones, yes?
No. So I use like YouTube and things like that for content. But when it comes to mindlessly scrolling through a news feed or absorbing 10-second videos or whatever they may be, that's not how I spend my time. And I think that with the shortening of attention spans and like the common user,
yes,
a lot of that plays into how much time you spend on social media is how long you can give your attention to certain things.
So interesting. We're speaking with Lori Casey Moline and James Warnken talking about Mentor Stark, and we'll be back after these words. You're listening to Our Community. Welcome back to Our Community. Susie Thomas visiting with Lori Casey Moline and also James Warnken. And we're talking about Mentor Stark. First of all, the website that we want to send people to is what, Lori?
www.mentorstark.org.
mentorstark.org. Got it. And what you'll see is a beautiful website designed by James. And what kinds of things will we find there? Help us navigate through it.
I would also like to add Zach Glass from Cipher Technologies has been incredibly supportive to us. And it was really interesting because when you talk about the power of connection and relationships, it kind of, this website really coming to fruition kind of shows behind the scenes why those connections are so important because, first I went to Walsh actually through the invitation of a young woman that I mentor who then was working at the Career Services Department. She's the one that invited me to come and speak about branding. Then I met James there. I shared this vision with him, and we started talking about a lot of things, about what he was trying to do and the connections he was trying to build. And so I started inviting him to different things that I was going to, like the Strengthening Stark Innovation seminar that they did at Walsh. I invited him. Zach had offered tickets to the Canton Chamber of Commerce Alt Care working event up at Kent State Stark, so I invited James to come to that and happened to mention to Zach how James and I were working together on a website. Zach was able to introduce us to a new platform that we ended up using that, just kind of made the site come to look like it does right now.
Nice.
And so he's been another third party. And then actually through that networking event, James was able to get contract work because we went up there and met a whole bunch of people. And so none of that would have happened if it hadn't been for, the Chambers event, Strengthening Starks event, all those different things that kind of formed those connections.
So cool. What platform did you find? This isn't WordPress? You found a new one?
No, this is Duda.
Huh.
DUDA, and it's really been a remarkable site. And I think, James, you would agree. Like, what are your thoughts on the platform?
Yeah, so with a lot of these, like you have Wix, you have Squarespace, you have WordPress, all of these that are more front-end development now, anybody can build a website. But having all of those tools and all of those capabilities at your disposal kind of ruins the point of the specialty,
Yes.
in my opinion, because adding too much is just as bad as not having enough, in a sense. And with some of these sites, you see other companies just doing all of these crazy, absurd things.
Look what else we can do.
Yeah, basically. So you have conflicting font colors and layouts and everything, and nothing. Going back to the brand, it really eliminates the brand consistency. And with Duda and the platform that they have, it is very smooth and it allows you to make everything look the way you want it to look without having too much going on to distract people from the overall point you're trying to put across.
Hats off to Walsh. They taught you well. You are speaking wisdom. It's really some good advice for anybody who's looking at digital marketing as a career in general. Let's talk about Mentor Stark and what our goals are for the site. We've talked about letting young people getting into the workforce know how important their own social media is as far as establishing their brand and so forth. What other kinds of things would we hope to accomplish through this website?
Well, one of the biggest things I'm excited about is just starting to identify opportunities for all of these wonderful mentoring programs that we have in our community to work more collaboratively together. A lot of times the programs that we have, and if you look between both the community mentoring and the career mentoring, there's over 30 programs that are hard at work doing amazing work with our young people, helping them to build developmental assets, helping them with social emotional learning, helping them learn those life skills that are so important that our employers are saying that they're looking for: team building, communication, relationship skills. But a lot of times a lot of our programs are all fighting for the same donors and the same foundation dollars in order to be successful. And, at the national level, I've seen the dollars that are available out there to support the work that's going on here. But sometimes you have to be a little bit bigger program or have more numbers, where if we can start working more collaboratively as mentoring leaders, we can start going after some of those dollars through some joint opportunities. And so that's what we're exploring right now. And all of the mentoring leaders of these programs have been really, really receptive to this site. As a matter of fact, just this past Thursday, I had 8 of them on an online demo for a database that would help them better manage their, mentors and mentees and information and metrics that they're measuring. individually and confidentially, but then would roll up into a broader data output that we would be able to have that would show as a community, how many students that we're impacting through mentoring and what are some of the progress that we're making. And so those are some of the things I'm really excited about through creating this site. It is not only just promoting their work, helping mentors get to them, helping mentees get to them, but also, what are the things that we can do to help support their growth goals and to help them reach their full potential.
Awesome. What are we looking for? Donors, mentors, mentees, all of the above?
Well, it's such an interesting time right now because we don't know what's going to happen in the future, So for our programs,
Right.
they're getting, there's a pop-up page on mentorstark.org that tells you what all the programs are doing in response to COVID. So the innovation that I've seen in these programs is, tremendous. Tom Todd is doing these daily adventures that are just really, really creative, and they work with middle schoolers, and Be a Better Me is doing it. Legacy, everybody, Hannah's House, they're all doing amazing things, and they're all kind of trying to figure out what is this upcoming summer, because many of them have plans for the summer that now they're having to adjust, and what's next school year going to look like. Are mentors going to be able to go in a school, or is the school only going to allow essential people in the school? Are mentors going to be comfortable going into the school? So I would say for sure, I'm hoping businesses will go and see these mentoring programs out there and support their work. So, that mainly I'd like to try to get, business support and dollar support for those mentoring organizations. For James and I, as we're looking at just supporting our time and energy and the cost we have in the website, we offer a very low rate for somebody that wants to have their logo and their website attached to the site just to say that they support mentoring. It's only $200, and you can pay it whenever it's convenient to pay for it. So, basically it's all about trying to kind of fill the gaps I always say we're kind of mortar. Essentially, we're trying to kind of create the connections and be the mortar between all these amazing things going on in our community.
Is there a way to over-communicate right now for businesses with their customers and their employees and even their, whoever is anybody that is has invested in them in any way? Is there a way to over-communicate, or should we just communicate as much as possible right now? And I'm thinking nonprofits especially. Either one of you.
James, I'll let you answer that. I mean, I just think people are getting, I know I get this, a little bit of Zoom fatigue at times,
Yes.
I really miss face-to-face meetings. I miss, just sitting down at lunch with somebody and really, digging into an issue, and I miss all that, so I think I'll be really excited and happy to get back there. And I think we're all extending a lot of grace to each other as we're trying to figure out what is the best way to get information and give information. So I'm not sure that any of us really has the answer to that. But what do you think, James?
I think you said it. Everybody is starting to kind of get that fatigue. There's ad fatigue, and then there's the communication fatigue. And I think some of them are trying to stay in the forefront of the minds of the consumers, their customers, their employees, anybody they have connections with. And I feel like that is good on their effort side, but at the same time, they're getting those from everybody. So maybe the fatigue will start to play a factor into who we actually open their text or open their email or respond to them even. So I feel like there's a balance in how much to communicate, and finding that with your specific group or community is going to be essential to retaining them through the times we're going through right now.
Right now, what would you recommend to young people as far as trying to find employment, either a new college graduate, because this is not the normal thing to do? How do you get onto someone's radar when we're not doing the typical, walking in for a face-to-face interview?
Yeah, and I think a lot of that could be like the old saying, it's more about who you know, not what you know. And I think right now that's kind of more important than ever, because having some type of initial connection is going to get you through someone's inbox more effectively than cold calling. Nobody answers their phone to a robot anymore.
Right.
But if they see, like, I have this connection to somebody within this company, they're more likely to open it and engage with you. So I would definitely recommend tapping into all of your connections, whether it's your friend and family group, whether it's your school friends group, whether it's your professor group, whatever connections you may have to whatever you're looking to get into, I would definitely try to utilize them as much as possible.
What is reasonable to ask a young person to wait? Because so many people are going to have so many positions to fill once this is over. But you can only wait so long, and people do need to, have work. So what do you think, Lori? As far as businesses that are dying to start hiring again and bring good people back and get some new good people on board, we were in unprecedented growth right before this hit, and then unprecedented shutdown once it did. So what would you recommend to both the business owner who is wanting to fill their staff and the young person wanting to be on someone's staff during this little waiting game we're going through?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think as a young person, and James, his what he said is really important, because he's kind of going through that right now in terms of, got a lot of contract work, but he's looking for full-time employment as well. But I think for young people, if you go onto the Ohio Means Jobs website, there's actually a page there of people that are hiring just specifically of COVID thing. And I almost think it would be very beneficial to get into one of those companies right now, even at an entry-level position, express where you want to go in your career, whether you're someone with a college degree or somebody with a high school degree, and just start building that work history on your resume, because you still need to prove to people that you're going to show up on time, that you're going to be a team player, that you're reliable, that you got a car that'll get you back and forth to work, that you can pass a drug test, that you can pass a background check. And so for employers and HR people, as they're looking to fill those positions that they'll start filling when, COVID kind of takes more of a back seat, that's still the stuff that they're going to be looking for. And it's proven that it's easier to get a job when you have a job.
Absolutely.
You're more likely to get hired if you're actually already working somewhere. And then you can look at building, up into the type of career you want to go to. So it's just really important to start establishing a good work history and showing the kind of employee that you are for a business. And that would be my, very first recommendation.
Great advice. Well, I knew this time would fly. We want to direct everyone to go to mentorstark.org, check out what they've got going there. And Lori Casey Moline, James Warnken, thank you so much for bringing this to Stark County.
Thank you so much for having us and letting us share it.
Thank you.